The bustling city of downtown was alive with the morning rush. Among the sea of suits and briefcases, a young woman named Abby navigated the crowded streets, her small frame almost lost in the chaos. With her delicate features and shy demeanor, she blended into the background, a mere observer in this urban jungle. Little did she know, her mundane morning routine was about to take an unexpected turn. Abby, a 21-year-old aspiring artist, had just finished her shift at the local art gallery, where she worked part-time to support her passion. As she stepped out onto the busy sidewalk, she breathed in the crisp morning air, a welcome change from the stuffy gallery. Her mind drifted to the blank canvas waiting for her at home, eager to bring her creative visions to life. She made her way towards her favorite coffee shop, a cozy haven nestled in the heart of the city. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the warm ambience always provided her with a sense of comfort. As she pushed open the familiar glass door, a gentle bell chimed, announcing her arrival. Inside, the coffee shop buzzed with activity. The soft murmur of conversations and the soothing jazz music created a pleasant atmosphere. Abby scanned the room for an empty table, her eyes adjusting to the dimly lit interior. That's when she saw him. He sat alone at a corner table, his tall, muscular frame commanding attention. His blonde hair, styled casually, framed his chiseled face, and his piercing blue eyes seemed to hold an intensity that captivated Abby. He was deep in concentration, poring over some documents, a pen in hand, making swift notes. There was an air of confidence and sophistication about him that stood in stark contrast to the relaxed setting. Abby's heart skipped a beat as their eyes met for a fleeting moment. She felt a jolt of electricity course through her body, an unfamiliar sensation for the usually reserved young woman. She quickly averted her gaze, feeling her cheeks flush with embarrassment. She had never been one to initiate conversations with strangers, especially not with someone who seemed so extraordinary. She found an empty table near the window and sat down, her heart still racing. She tried to focus on her surroundings, the warm coffee mug in her hands, the bustling street outside, but her thoughts kept drifting back to the mysterious man. Who was he? Why did he have such a profound effect on her? As she sipped her coffee, she couldn't help but notice his every move from the corner of her eye. He seemed to exude an aura of power and success. His attire, a tailored suit, suggested a life of luxury and refinement. Abby, in her simple jeans and t-shirt, felt a world away from him. The man, who she later learned was named Brett, finished his work and closed the leather binder with a satisfied smile. He then looked up, his eyes scanning the room, and they locked with Abby's once more. This time, he held her gaze, a slight smirk playing on his lips. Abby's heart fluttered, and she felt a surge of courage. Perhaps this was her chance to speak to him. Just as she was about to stand up and approach him, her phone buzzed, breaking the spell. It was a text from her roommate, reminding her about their plans for the evening. Abby glanced back at Brett, only to see him gathering his belongings, preparing to leave. She hesitated, torn between her curiosity and her innate shyness. In that moment of hesitation, Brett stood up, his tall figure towering over the surrounding tables. He gave Abby one last lingering look, as if sensing her inner turmoil, and then he walked out of the coffee shop, leaving a trail of unanswered questions in his wake. Abby sat frozen, her heart sinking with regret. She had never felt such an instant connection with anyone before. Why had she let her fears hold her back? She berated herself for not taking the chance to at least learn his name. As the minutes ticked by, the coffee shop began to empty, and Abby found herself alone with her thoughts. She paid for her coffee and stepped back out onto the busy street, feeling a sense of loss. She knew the chances of seeing him again were slim, especially in a city as vast as this. Days turned into weeks, and Abby couldn't shake the memory of that brief encounter. She found herself returning to the coffee shop daily, hoping for a glimpse of the mysterious man. She inquired about him with the baristas, but no one seemed to know much about him. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. One afternoon, as Abby sat at her usual table, deep in thought, a familiar figure caught her eye. It was Brett, walking casually down the street, his presence radiating confidence. Abby's heart leaped, and she felt a surge of hope. She quickly gathered her things and rushed out of the coffee shop, determined not to let him slip away again. "Wait," she called out, her voice trembling. Brett turned, his eyes narrowing slightly in recognition. Abby approached him, her heart pounding in her chest. I'm sorry to bother you, but we met a few weeks ago in the coffee shop. I just wanted to say hello." Her words tumbled out in a nervous rush. Brett's smirk returned, and he took a step closer, his tall stature making Abby feel even smaller. "Of course, I remember. It's not often I'm forgotten." His voice was deep and smooth, with a hint of amusement. "You're Abby, right?" Abby's eyes widened in surprise. "Why yes, how did you know my name?" Brett's smirk turned into a full-blown smile, revealing straight white teeth. "I made it my business to find out. You see, I couldn't stop thinking about our encounter either." Abby's heart skipped several beats. Was this handsome stranger, who seemed to exude success and wealth, actually interested in her? As they stood on the sidewalk, engaged in conversation, Abby learned that Brett was a successful entrepreneur, a self-made billionaire who had built his empire from scratch. He had come to the coffee shop that day to finalize a major business deal, which he had just signed.